Why do we care what strangers think?
I'm not sure that I do care what strangers think of me, that is.
All right. And is that true, or is it just an attitude you adopted to survive?
Oh, good question. I suppose it would be good to think everyone likes you the whole time, but it's not possible. So it's best just to not worry about it. This isn't a podcast with all the answers.
It's a conversation about figuring things out as you go.
From two very different generations.
With Michelle R. Williams
and Nick Hurst.
Welcome to Life Happens. So, first things first, I think that it needs to be said that we do not agree on this topic. I'm not sure we had a topic yet on which we don't really agree after 29 episodes. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, I'm sure we haven't agreed the whole time, and then this one, it's not like a sort of fundamental disagreement about facts. It's more a case of we're very different. We have different approaches.
Yeah.
And part of that is generational, I would have to say.
It probably is, yeah. I think that the older you get, the less you care what people around you think of you. That's probably the thing.
I guess that's the case, from the conversations that we've had, because it's not something that I've been conscious of. And it's not something, as you get older, you don't sort of tick off each year and think, oh, I've just hit this milestone. I care that little bit less about what people think of me.
Is that not how it works?
It doesn't work.
Another
like that,
year, less percentage of caring what people think. Oh, okay, never mind then.
Because to be honest, you're not really conscious of getting older until you start to think, oh, my back's aching a bit, or my knees really hurt when I go upstairs, or something like that.
My knees hurt when I go upstairs. Am I old?
Yes. Maybe.
What?
Maybe you are. That's what? That. Well, actually, if that is true, if your knees do hurt when you go upstairs, and by the way, this has nothing to do with our topic today of what strangers think about you, but let's discuss Michelle's knees for a moment.
Shut up, man. I'm an ex-ballet dancer.
That's
okay?
what I was about to say.
Rights.
That is what I was about to say. It may well be the dancing. Because, for years and years and years, I was putting the fact that I would have sore knees or sore ankles after physical activity to the fact that I played football for about 20 years, normally twice a week, Wednesdays and Sundays. And then there would be some football training going on. So I just felt that kind of took its toll, which it did. There's no doubt. That's a contributory factor. So if your knees are
hurting... And when
hurting,
did that change? Did you have a point when you were like, nope, I'm just old? And was that the turning point of, yep, I don't care what strangers think anymore? Does it go hand in hand?
Well played. Bringing it back to the subject in hand, to the topic we're discussing.
I'm just saying.
Sort of, actually. At one point, you start to think, well, actually, maybe this is just the wear and tear that I've experienced over the years now is just kind of joining together with the whole aging thing. So I suppose the depressing thing is that moment when you realize it's never going to get any better. My point is that you're not really conscious of getting old. You still think you're the same person you were when you're 28. So, by the way, when you get to 28, hold on to that, because that age is going to be in your head for a long, long time. Really?
Why do you always choose 28? Every single time. What's so groundbreaking about the age of 28?
Well...
Maybe don't answer that. I don't want to know.
I think that's when you're supposed to be kind of at a peak. Oh, I remember reading somewhere once, many years ago, that footballers reached their peak at the age of 28, and I was very keen playing football, so that sort of meant a lot to me. But I think it is a kind of sort of peak age in many ways. Maybe it's different for women. Women might have a different peak age.
And then after that, it just goes to hell. That's what you are telling me. So I only have 7 good years ahead of me.
The thing is, it doesn't. It doesn't feel like it does until certain things might catch up with you. Like, as I say, aching back or creaking knees or stuff. or health problems. I've been very lucky in
Mm.
that I've not had any health problems in my life, actually, but I have skeletal problems, but you could put it like that. But in your mind, you're still that person you were at 28. Then you see photographs of yourself, or you might see yourself on a podcast or something, and then you go, who the hell is that?
Now we are forced to look at yourself like so much
And
because of editing of this podcast.
yeah, well, I try to avoid it, but
You
actually,
just put like a sticker over your face on the computer screen.
actually, I have reconciled myself to who I. Actually, I was just thinking about this the other day because I saw some photos of me from my last birthday, which, as you know, is almost exactly a year ago now. And I remember when I saw them first, I thought, oh my God, who's that little old man? And now I look at them and I can sort of see myself. I think, yeah, that's fine. I can deal with that. So I kind of accepted it. And I think part of that is maybe because I'm being exposed to having to stare at myself a lot when I'm editing the podcast, because I am the one who does the editing. But
So how does that work? That you are basically judging yourself like this, but then you claim you don't care what strangers think of you? Is that really? Is it just an attitude, Nick? Is it just to be like, oh no, I do not care. Why would I care? Just because admitting that you care would make you feel bad.
no, I really don't care. One of the reasons is a fundamental principle that I live by is do not get upset about that which you have no control over. Now you rearrange those words to make better English grammar because that was pretty terrible sentence. But if you can't control it, why worry about it? We had this conversation before talking about traffic jams. You can't control a traffic jam. Don't worry about it because it's a pointless exercise.
Yeah.
I cannot control what other people think. I'd like to try, but
Yeah, I mean,
and
you
I
do.
and I
You
think
can't make me like you,
I
no
think
matter how much you try. That's the thing.
I think you do too. I think you'd like to. You would if you could like to control what other people think. But the
Well,
other thing
yeah.
that I've learned, and this comes with experience and knowledge,
Wow.
is that if we're just going purely on looks, basically, what people
Mm,
see, just
mm.
so one very, very simple part of the overall picture of what people might think about you. But how they perceive you when they look at you is nothing like how you perceive yourself. Most people, not all, but most people are their own biggest critic. And I know you are,
Yeah,
generally.
I am my biggest enemy. My brain is my biggest enemy.
uh, yes, let's get into your brain. But most people will have some insecurities and they will see those insecurities and then assume that the rest of the world sees them as well. Somehow, in each individual's mind, the way that the world perceives you gets magnified completely out of proportion. And of course, we don't see that at all. I can remember my uncle, who is no longer with us, quite some years ago, as he moved into his older years. And he wasn't that old; it was in his, I suppose, mid-60s. And he
Mm,
just said to me one day, "Oh, I can't bear to look at this old cadaver that I see in the mirror." And he'd been somebody who spent his whole life working in showbiz. He'd been quite a sort of glamorous
mm,
young man. And so he sort of moved into being an older man. I didn't see that at all in him. I could see there were physical changes, as there are in everybody as you get older. But obviously, if you're seeing somebody on a fairly regular basis, those
mm.
changes happen gradually. But I still saw him as him. And that's what he couldn't see and he couldn't understand. And we're all like that.
Mhm.
That's the thing. So you just have to realize that what your biggest insecurities are and the things that you see about yourself, maybe when you look in the mirror and, you see yourself every day, you can't get away from yourself. Other people don't see that. They just see
I absolutely
you.
love that you are saying that because it's connected to something that I wanted to tell you about. at
Oh,
actually the very end of this episode, this one trend that was going around quite recently. And I really wanted to know what you think of it. So we will get back to that. And I feel like this will be the perfect circle from the beginning of this episode to the very end. So
oh,
remind me, because I have a goldfish memory, but remind me and I will tell you.
really excited about that now. And I have really have no idea what it is that you're going to be telling us about. So,
No, I didn't tell you because, like, for some reason, I don't tell you everything. So, yeah, never talked to you about this before. But you basically, the way you said that, I really like it. And, on the other hand, it's just so easy to say that. And unfortunately, that's not really how insecurities work. When just realizing that people don't really see it will cure it for you, which I think is something I always believe, sort of. And like, like I have certain insecurities. And if I realize that people don't really notice it about me, I feel like, well, that's all that matters. And now I suddenly don't care. Unfortunately, I still do because, as you already said, I'm my biggest critic. So, and I obviously see it. But I also wanted to go back to what you were saying about that we shouldn't care what people think of us. On the other hand, I don't know, I feel like it helped me sometimes. Because, one should be self aware. And if you know how to work with the feedback you are getting, you can work on that. Like if I absolutely didn't care what people think of me, I would just be, I don't want to say myself, but I just feel like feedback from strangers or like people around me help me with seeing my shortcomings, maybe. Like, I don't know how to explain it properly, but if I am somewhere with people and I'm talking to, let's say, like my friend, and a stranger comes to me, not a stranger, saying a stranger is just so weird because I don't give a fuck about what strangers think of me. In this way, I mean it more like people around me, not if a stranger on the street stops me and tells me like, "Oh, you should change your hair." I'm like, "Dude, the fuck are you talking about? Like, who are you to even talk to me?" But this, I think that maybe we should rephrase the whole thing. Not why should we care what strangers think, but why do we care what others think of us? And my point was that if someone, one of my friends or some people around me tell me, "Hey, when you are talking, you are being too loud," I will be insecure about it. That's something that happened to me because I know I'm loud. And if I can't really work with myself, it will just make me so insecure and I will shut up and I will never speak again. But at which is how I used to be. But at this point, I feel like I can work with this, if you want to call it a feedback, better. And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't realize. I'm so sorry." And then I'm like, yeah, maybe I am too loud sometimes. And I'm someone, and that's very like, it really makes me a hypocrite because I hate loud people, while at the same time I am a loud person. So, sort of that feedback or that thing that others think of me will help me to work on myself. And I don't want to be known as, yeah, that loud girl. So I will work on that so others don't think that of me. Does that make me like insecure? Does that make me a people pleaser?
no, not necessarily. I mean, I think it's good to take feedback on board. But I think just to go back to your earlier point, because I was going to jump in there, was that there is a difference between strangers, those people that you completely do not know, and people in your life who have,
Mm.
some will be very close, some will be people that you see on a daily basis, family, closest friends, and so forth. Some will be people that you see on a professional basis, work colleagues or school mates or whatever. And then there'll be those people that come into your life just every so often. So you
Mm.
have different levels of relationships with different people. So in your mind, you probably associate or you give each person a level, a degree of how much you think of what they think about you, how much importance you attach to what they think about you. And I don't know, maybe the people closest to you in your family, you actually attach the least importance because they see you every day, as we say in English, warts and all. So whereas when you're out and about, you're pushing on a different persona. You're putting on a different face. When you're at
Mm.
work, you're a different person. You're the person who tries to fit in. So, of course, you care what people think about you. Generally, if you're in a working environment, you care what people think about you because you don't want to lose your job. So you certainly care what your bosses think about you. I don't know. I'm trying to think of others. If you go to the doctor, you probably care what your doctor thinks about you. I mean, everyone's different, I suppose.
Mm.
But it's those people when you're in a situation where you'll be surrounded by lots of strangers, there is this often temptation to think, oh my God, everybody's looking at me. And you think
The spotlight effect.
the spotlight effect, exactly. Do you want to explain the spotlight effect? Because that's where we're getting to with this. Because I mean the bottom line is that no, they're probably not. But
Yeah, literally.
you can have that effect. You can have that delusion.
Attitude,
No,
delusion.
delusion. Let's go with delusion that everyone's looking at you.
Yeah, literally. Is the thing. I also call it sort of like me personally, I also call it the main character syndrome when you just think that like everything is about you all the time. Which, on the other hand, I mean, everyone is the main character in their own life. That doesn't give you the right to, well, be an asshole to your side characters, basically. But that's completely the other thing. The spotlight effect means that you naturally think that, well, you are in the spotlight everywhere you are and that everyone is looking at you. So if you go somewhere, it feels like standing on a stage with the audience looking at you, watching every move you make. But the thing is, first of all, it's not true. And second of all, if we all feel like it, which we do because everyone feels like that, if we all feel like it, that makes us very focused on our own performance because we feel like we are on the stage. And that means that we are not focused on anyone else. If you think about it, if you walk somewhere and you have this feeling like, oh my gosh, everyone's watching me, think about for a second if you are watching others. If you walk somewhere or if you are already there and someone walks in, do you stop your conversation, look at them, and be like, okay, so her outfit, her hair, her makeup, no one does that. I mean, haters do, but like, you know what I mean? No normal person does that. And therefore, it's definitely not happening to you, even though it feels like it.
Can I just tell you a story where it did happen to me? I don't know. Let me
Yeah,
just.
okay. You know, like in your life, I'm sure that it happened to you sometimes, okay? But like, you are not a normal person.
Well, I know I've told you this story before. I just don't know if I've told it on this podcast. It was about when I was working as TV and radio presenter in Saudi Arabia. And does this ring any bells? Well, I'll tell it anyway.
You have so many stories from that time. I don't know which one you mean right now.
Okay, so quick setting the scene. I'm working in Saudi Arabia as a presenter on their English language TV station and English language radio station. So I'm on the radio every day. I had a daily program and one or two other times of the day as well on the radio, reading the news and so on and so forth. On TV, I would be reading the news live on television 3 or 4 nights a week. And that would be their most watched program on that channel. Plus, there were various other pre-recorded programs. I actually was the co-presenter of the kids program, their only homemade quiz program. Plus, I would record and present this program. They called it a review of the newspapers, which was a bit laughable. It was actually just kind of reading clips out of newspapers for 10 minutes. This newspaper covered this story, and this is what they said. I mean, that's basically what it was. I don't remember what it was called. On the Press, I think it was called. And I would present that maybe 3 or 4 times a week. There was a big sort of weekly it was a really bizarre program called In Focus, and it was a kind of mix of current affairs and variety acts. I mean, it was a very bizarre program, and it went out on Thursday night, which in the Islamic world is the equivalent of Saturday night in the non-Islamic world. So it was had quite big viewing figures. Anyway, so point is I'm on TV a lot. And I would get a lot of letters coming to me at the TV and radio station. And I used to get a lot of letters from Filipino nurses working in Saudi Arabia. And often these letters would then be proposing marriage, just to, again, put this in perspective. Even though,
I love
I
that.
mean, I was married at the time in my first marriage, and I would mention this, I would talk about this in my family on air in my radio show, but never mind. Anyway, so I would normally work, and I've mentioned this before, I would normally start work at about 11 o'clock in the morning and go through to about midnight. But quite often there would be like a dip around about 6 o'clock in the evening when I didn't have anything to do for a couple of hours until I needed to be in the TV newsroom. So there's not much to do in Saudi Arabia. There's no pubs and stuff like that. So I would go to a shopping mall. That was what people were into, shopping malls. I'd go to a shopping mall and there'd be a sort of fast foodish type restaurant there, and I could walk around the various stores in the shopping mall. Anyway, so one evening I got to the shopping mall, and as I parked the car, I'm walking across the car park, and there was 2 or 3 coaches had stopped outside the front of the shopping mall, and out of them are coming all these Filipino nurses. And as they're coming out, they're all sort of looking and pointing at something. And, it was kind of in my direction. So I'm looking over thinking, I wonder what they're looking at. Oh my God, it's me. Because they all recognize me. And that's something else you can't get used to, because you just think, well, I'm still me. And yet now, in their eyes, I'm something else. I'm just this 2-dimensional figure that they've seen on TV. So anyway, I had to sign a lot of autographs before I could get into the shopping mall that evening.
Oh my gosh, you are saying it like it bothered you so much, which is a
Well,
lie.
at first, it was sort of nice to be recognized. After you've signed your 75th autograph, it's starting to get a little bit kind of, and to be honest, I never went to the shopping mall at that time of day again to avoid that. But the little coda to this story is that 2 or 3 weeks later, I was in the shopping mall, but this time, different time of day. It's the middle of the day. And I'd gone there quite briefly, and I'd gone into a store in the shopping mall that was like a electrical store selling TVs, radios, all this equipment. And in Saudi Arabia, you used to get all the new high-tech gear from Japan first, because it was such a consumer market. So you're in this store with loads of stuff, and you're weaving your way between the aisles. And of course, being a TV store, one wall just had non-stop TV screens. All these TV screens on, and they're all on Channel 2 TV. And then suddenly I come on and presenting the press program on the press. And so there's like 200 images of me on this massive wall of all these TV screens. And I'm stood in the middle of the shop, and it's quite busy. And I was having a panic attack. Oh my God, they're going to recognize me. And there's all this stuff around. Nobody batted an eyelid. Nobody saw me. I was invisible because
Really?
how could I be there when I'm on TV? So nobody.
Wow.
And
That's such a like 80s, 90s attitude.
Well, this was in the 80s, actually. The thing is, then I started to, in my mind, I was getting, oi, why don't you recognize me? That's me. Obviously, I was not actually doing that, but mentally I was doing that. And then I thought, this way madness lies. This is getting completely out of control. I've got to completely disassociate this whole issue of, my on TV image and me. It's not important. It's really not important. It was just making me go a bit mad. So, and I will be honest, I'd always wanted to know what it's like to be recognized. And I found out, I think it's quite intrusive, not terribly nice, and in a way you just don't understand it, because you don't see yourself like other people are seeing you, because they're seeing you with the halo effect. You're someone you've seen on TV. It's like if you met, now, if Harry Styles suddenly walked into your room, you would be going, oh, and because halo effect.
Don't even.
But to him, he's still Harry Styles, He'll be used to it by now, because I believe that 1 or 2 other people have recognized him, but you know what I'm saying.
You really have a problem with that. I mentioned Harry Styles like a few weeks ago, and since then you are just having problem with him.
No, me and Harry are cool. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
We are really cool. Okay, good to know.
But I don't care what he thinks about me.
Yeah. If I met him, I probably would care what he thinks about me, to be fair. But I was just about to say that when you are famous for whatever fucking reason, and in like, whatever circle, yeah, you probably are in the spotlight. You are definitely in the spotlight. So, like, that doesn't really count. But I get that people get this anxiety from thinking everyone's watching them. And I had that. I had that for ages. And I sort of always try to remind myself, like, I am not Harry Styles. I'm not Freddie Mercury. Like, there's no reason for people to be looking at me and watching every move I make. And yeah, that kind of helps. But obviously, when you are somewhere where you'll be recognized, that's unfortunately not how it works. But we are talking about like normal people.
Yeah. I just threw that there as the counter
I
to what we're
wouldn't
talking about.
mind. Like, maybe one day I will regret saying this, but I always wanted to be famous. And I don't think I would mind to a certain point, Then there is this level of being famous that is just like too much. And I would say that's also like Harry Styles, but I don't know, like for example, Taylor Swift, who is like super famous, or people like Freddie Mercury, who then were like too famous. And I wouldn't be able to bear that. But being recognized, I don't know. I just think it's nice. And maybe I will regret saying this one day, but I just, I wouldn't
Well,
mind.
when it happens after your first book is published and will be a mega hit, I'm sure. I'm sure Michelle is a very good writer, folks. In
Yeah,
English.
but also very lazy, so.
You and
So
me
we are
both.
nowhere near that yet, Bear with me for a while.
Why do we feel that strangers are safer or more important maybe to impress than the people that we know and take for granted in our everyday lives? I may have answered my own question in the asking, but let's see what Michelle says.
That's definitely easier to impress strangers, but I think it's also easier to be judged by strangers, because the thing is, when you are somewhere, let's say, I don't know, an event, a party, not party in a way everyone's getting pissed, but like, just like a setting of people, workplace thing, I don't know, whatever like that. And there are people who are strangers, they judge you based on what you do right now, which can calm you down, but also can absolutely freak you out, because I don't know, as someone who, when I'm nervous, I can be very awkward. And so I just say one stupid thing and I'm like, oh my gosh, now they think I'm stupid because I said that. And they don't actually know how I am in real life and who I actually am. And they wouldn't judge me if they knew me. On the other hand, it's so easy to impress strangers. And it's all about wording. It's all about attitude and confidence. Sometimes it can even be about, making up a few stories. Not just to make yourself feel better, but maybe just like to fuck with people around a bit, just like, oh yeah, I am actually related to Harry Styles. How crazy is that? And if they are strangers and you will never see them again, it's really fun to do. Is it toxic that I just said that I'm like lying to people? I'm
No.
not saying I'm related to Harry Styles, but there were situations where I did make up my own story just for the fun of it. Like, half of people I met in America think that I'm English. So, and I had this whole background story to go with that. And it was really fun to do that, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think we've all felt like that, what you said earlier about we feel that strangers judge us the moment that they see us, and then we're worried that we're nervous and we do something silly, dumb, say something stupid. And to be honest, I really don't think you're alone in that. And I think that there'll be people listening to this who'll be thinking, oh yeah, I completely identify with that. But I think, also more than one of us has done that whole thing of being a different person in a group of strangers because you'll never see them again. I know I have. Again, I have a this time shorter story. When actually my first ever trip to America, it was a school trip. Years ago, I was 15 years old and staying with a family. And in the family, there was a boy the same age as me. And it was just before Easter and they hadn't finished school. So I went to school for a couple of days to an American school. So when I went in on the first day into this guy, my host's name was Warren. So I went into Warren's class, and Warren was kind of like the bad lad. He actually, you know who he's really like? He was like Shaggy out of Scooby-Doo. He was really, really like that. Do you know Scooby-Doo?
You mean stoned? Or like...
Just kind of, he looked like that.
I'm sorry.
He looked like, I don't know what you mean by stoned, by the way, but I'll go with it.
Of course you don't. Jeez. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so Warren and I cooked up this plan the night before. So I blame him. He'd probably blame me if he was here, obviously, long since lost touch. We were going to go in there, and I was going to tell everybody that I was Mick Jagger's younger brother, Chris Jagger.
What?
So I
loved it.
And so I went into the classroom, and I sat there. First of all, they do the flag ceremony, which they do every single morning. They pledge allegiance to the flag. And then afterwards, the teacher said, and now we have a guest with us, Nick, who is staying with Warren. And Nick, you're going to tell us a little bit about yourself and the fact that you've got a rather famous brother. I stood up in front of this class and told them, yeah, I'm Mick Jagger's brother. And then they were asking me all these questions about Mick Jagger. Gosh. And I was a big Stones fan, so I really knew quite a lot about Mick Jagger.
I love that.
So there are probably still some elderly Americans who are telling their grandchildren, you know, I was once in class and I met Mick Jagger's brother. Why they be sticky?
I am not using my free will to its full potential. Literally. I need to start doing that more, because that's just amazing. I was just saying I was English. Damn it. Should have done better. Anyway, I mean, let's start my new life in Ireland with something spicy like that.
Yeah, but then you're going to be there for a few years. You'll have to live the...
Well, with strangers, with people I know I don't want to talk to again anymore.
Okay.
I will figure that out, actually. Let me think about it.
But I think everybody's... Well, I don't know, actually. I kind of assume everybody's done something like that. If you've done it... write it in the comments.
I don't think so.
No, not you, our listener.
I know I've done it, but I just don't think that everyone done that. I think that we are just weird and liars.
Having said that, I'm convinced it's not just us. So I bet that there's people doing it. And if you have done it, you at home, I'm talking to you, tell us about it briefly in the comments. Tell us, yeah, I was once in a group of strangers, and I told them that I was Clint Eastwood's love child or something like that. I
want to know that. I want to know that.
There are other movie stars available, by the way. Just have to say that to cover ourselves, but it would be...
You know my joke about being Andrew Garfield's wife? Yeah. Now just got like new opportunities, new levels of opportunity. Let me think about it, yeah?
Okay. I'll have to let Andrew know. So anyway, tell us your stories of being someone else in a group of strangers. Write it in the comments. And while you're there, don't forget to give us a like and also subscribe to this podcast, because it really helps us. And we then really love you for it.
But speaking of that, it kind of made me think about, you know, we're making jokes about lying to strangers and making up stories about yourself. But if you think about it more seriously, aren't we doing that anyway? You know, maybe we are not claiming to be a celebrity's lover or love child or whatever. But when you meet someone, aren't you pretending to be someone? Maybe I don't want to say to impress them, but you portray yourself in a certain way. And even though I don't think maybe you don't, but for me, I feel like I'm a very different person in different settings, and not just like in general. I mean, like everyone is a bit different with different people, but I genuinely see like my different personalities happening. And I feel that you know me in some way. And if you met me in a certain setting, you wouldn't recognize me. But at the same time, I feel like you are the same person almost like everywhere, more or less. So is that maybe like insecurity? Is that maybe because I want to impress people?
Well, I'm not a psychologist here, so...
I'm just throwing it out there. Yeah, I don't need you to diagnose me. I'm fine with it.
It could be an insecurity thing. It could be just something that keeps your interest in a social situation going. I know I do it, but in a way, I'm just playing. Sometimes I
Mm.
think, oh, today I'm going to be this person. And then on another day, I might have been someone else. On another day, I like to try and be completely invisible and hope nobody notices me.
I mean, you are also a Gemini, so that makes sense.
Yeah, sort of there's kind of more than one person going on in here. But there are times where you just simply don't want to be seen. And it's kind of possible.
Mm,
Although, I'm a big guy, I'm tall, as you
mm,
know. So it's kind of hard to completely vanish into the woodwork in a public setting. But I think sometimes I do it. I think I
mm,
can retreat, and it's basically about body language and how you hold yourself. Do you make eye contact with people? That's another thing.
mm,
Those are the ways that you can either hide yourself in plain sight. That was good. Or attract attention, maybe even
mm,
attract unwanted attention.
mm.
I mean, I'm straying into dangerous territory here because it's not something I can speak about, but I think that if you're a woman, it can be much more difficult or threatening because there will be times when, as a woman, you will be getting attention that you really did not invite and do not want. And I don't know what you do about that. I really don't. I think it's appalling. And as somebody,
Unfortunately, you have to be nice because if you are talking to someone who's absolutely creepy and you don't feel good about them, usually him, you still have to be super nice because the other option is that you might get killed. It's something that I don't really want to get into, but
yeah.
unfortunately, that's how it is.
So that there is that element of how you portray yourself, how you hold yourself in public, where you are in contact with complete strangers, people who
Mm.
don't know you at all.
I'm not sure. I think you kind of missed my point here because my point sort of was that you are someone. Deep down, there is some real you that you might know about or you might not know about. But the thing is that if you are 100% fine with who you are,
Hmm.
you don't need to pretend. And I sort of give it as an example, to give a personal example. I know exactly who I am, but I don't think that everyone would like me the way I am, which is fine. But sometimes I tend to tone down certain parts of me because I'm somewhere and I'm like, no, I really do want these people to like me. So let's tone this part of me down so they like me. And obviously that means that I do care what others think of me. And then I look at the most confident person I know, which is my grandfather, who is the same with everybody. He just knows who he is, and in any setting you put him to, if it's his friends, family, colleagues, if it's the King of England, he would speak to him the exact same way he speaks to everybody else because he's just so confident and he is happy with who he is. And he often tells me, like, I don't give a fuck about what people think of me. I know that I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but that's fine. If they don't want to talk to me, they don't have to. This is just who I am and how I present myself, and it's fine. And I'm like, I kind of wish I had that confidence because on one hand, I think that you always care what others think. Even when you are presenting yourself the way you are, you still feel the energy you are getting back. But the thing is, if you are 100% comfortable with yourself, do you change around some people? And it's not a question I want your answer for because I don't think you know it. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I would say I see what you mean, and I agree. I think that first of all, there is a generational thing. I do think that as you get older, you get more comfortable in your own skin,
Mm,
and you kind of know who you are, and you kind of get to have more and more of an attitude as take it or leave it. This is who I am. So there is that element to it. And I think you want to show the best side of yourself to most of the people that you meet, so that you will probably put on a little bit of a show, for want of a better word. And I've noticed this with people that I've known, even family members. I can think of examples where somebody I know really well, I know their persona really well, inside and out. And then in their company, we meet someone, a relative stranger, maybe someone we know a little bit, or maybe somebody we don't know at all. And then I see this other person change. They're not like they are with me. They're suddenly different. So people do that. And, some people are real people pleasers and want to be liked. So will act in a way that they're going to be liked. Some people are the opposite, actually. Some people will be miserable old grumps that will act in a way to maybe even repel the person. But this does bring us on nicely to a quiz.
Of course.
We've got a quiz here that it's different to the ones that we've had recently. And it really is quite searching and sort of psychological. It's a quiz about how others perceive you. And it has a lot of interesting questions. I'm just looking at some of them now. For instance, there's a question that says, which image gives you the most peace? So I'm actually got my tablet in front of me here and looking at them. So I'll just describe it. There's an image that's like a forest scene. There's an image of a turtle swimming underwater. There's an image of a country cottage, picture from above of a group of people at a dinner party. And then there's a picture of an empty road going through a pine forest. And you just have to click on the one that gives you the most peace. I went for the forest one, since you asked. Oh, you didn't ask. Never mind. Another one, again, there's lots of images here to look at. What type of hobbies interest you the most? And there's a picture of somebody rolling out some dough, so cookery, somebody playing the piano, so music, someone painting, so painting, someone riding a motorbike, so motorbiking, someone reading a book. Out of all of those, I chose the cooking one. You'd probably go for reading the book, I think. Would you?
Of course.
Of course.
Of course.
There we go. Let me find one more. Oh, here's one. Oh, I want to hear your answer to this one. Choose one that you can't live without for a month. One.
That's
family.
unfair.
No, it's completely fair because everybody has to do it. And if you're listening to this podcast, everybody has to do it. Choose one that you can't live without for a month. 1, family and friends. 2, phone and laptop. 3, books. Ooh.
Hear me out, okay? I can advocate for myself here. A month is a very short time and I'm very introverted. So it's very easy for me not to speak to anyone for a month and it's very realistic. But for, my own peace of mind, I need my hobbies. And unfortunately, my hobbies are usually on my screen. So I can't go a month without writing because I would go crazy. But if I don't speak to my friends and family for a month, that's actually quite realistic and I would survive that. So it's definitely not that I'm screen addicted, but yeah.
Okay. So for me, would be, I could live without friends and family. I can be comfortable on my own for periods of time. So, and if I had availability to screens, that would still mean that people could pester me if I didn't want them to. So for me, it would be, it's just a month. It would be books. I would have books. I'd spend a month reading. Just marvelous.
That would be also really nice. Like having just a month, not doing anything, not speaking to anyone, and just have the time to really read for a month. That would fix my whole life at this point.
I would like to be somewhere by the sea, let's say the south of France, in the sun, with a whole pile of books. Last one.
Let's go back to reality now then.
Last one, and then I'll give you what my results were. One thing that you criticize the most about yourself? Answer number 1, I am judgmental. 2,
Why did you give me that judgmental look, Nick? I mean, we all know that's your answer, but why would you look at
no, that was my judgmental look. But for anyone who's seen the Life Happens Instagram pictures, Michelle posted a picture of herself with her judgmental face from an episode I think that we recorded last week. I can't remember.
I think it was episode 24 or something like that, and I just made the most judgmental face ever. And
So
yeah, unfortunately, that's who I am.
Go to our Insta. How Gen Z am I?
Wow, it's so fun every time you're trying to be Gen Z.
So I like being Gen Z.
All right, of course.
I feel a little bit Gen Z today. Yeah, so go to our Instagram and look at Michelle's judgmental face. So anyway, 1 thing you criticize the most about yourself: 1, I am judgmental. 2, I am selfish. 3, I am lazy. 4, I am too hard on myself. So what would your answer be?
I am all of them.
Yeah, you are. Okay, so you're absolutely dreadful.
How dare you? Okay,
You said it.
Okay, shut up.
I think quite a lot of people. I answered I am lazy. That was mine.
Yeah, you are.
Oi. It's what I say about myself, not what you say about me.
Sorry, next time I will just think it.
This was then the result when I did the whole quiz, and at the end you get a result. You get a whole paragraph telling you what you're like. And actually, the first phrase of what I'm like is what Michelle used when describing her grandfather. It says,
really?
Yeah, it says, and I'm reading now, I'm quoting, "You are not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. You are simply different. You are creative, unique, and judgmental at times. But hey, one thing about you is that you are 100% honest. Those who love you intend on being there for you for a very long time. And those who are not particularly interested in you might not know you well, but their jealousy may be the reason why they feel prejudiced towards you." To be honest, without being, big-headed about it, I think that's spot on. That's actually. Did you have an answer?
I wish that I could make fun of it, because there are so many things that I could just now joke about. Unfortunately, I can't, because I got the same result.
So there we are.
Damn it. I hate when that happens, because you just give me so much to make fun of, but then I would make fun of myself, and I don't like doing that.
So neither of us are everyone's cup of tea. And actually,
no, and I know that. And I think I already said it in some of the previous episodes that I'm exactly the type of person who you either love or hate, and I'm fine with both.
But anyway, for you listening to the podcast, go and do this quiz yourself. It really is quite revealing. If you go to the description of this episode, wherever you're listening to it, Spotify, YouTube, Apple, you will find that I have put, Michelle, one of us has put the link there. All you need to do is click on it and you'll be taken to the quiz, and you can do it and find out about yourself. But you can't do the quiz until you've left a like and subscribed to this podcast.
You're being so passively aggressive.
Really?
That's what I'm dealing with, guys. That's what I work with every single day. So anyway, what I want to end this episode with is saying that I genuinely believe that you are being as judged as much as you judge. Which, being a very judgmental person myself, now I'm like, oh yeah, everyone actually judges me, but I'm quite fine with it. And I don't think that, people do that as often as you think they do. And that brings me back to the trend I promised you at the beginning of this episode. Basically, it was a trend going on social media some time ago when people will just post a photo or a video of themselves, and they would be like, hey, guess my biggest insecurity. You don't know. You are looking at this person and you are like, I don't know what your insecurity could be. And then sometimes they did answer it, sometimes they didn't. And when they did answer it, only then you saw that. And there was a girl being like, guess my insecurity. I was like, I don't know. You're so gorgeous. You can't be insecure. And then she was like, well, I have a non-symmetrical face. And then you look back at the picture, you're like, oh, you actually do. And that sort of showed me that if you don't mention it, people won't notice. And that's exactly what you started this episode with. So everyone is insecure, but no one really sees that.
That kind of reminds me of a quote from a film. You know, I like my quotes.
Of course,
Normally
let's
it's
go.
normally it's songs, but this is a film. The Incredibles, an animated film, and the villain in that has this plan where he wants everyone to have superpowers because it's all about these superheroes and supervillains. And then he
Yeah.
says, because if everyone's super, then no one is. I love that quote.
Does that mean that when everyone's insecure, no one actually is?
Yes, I kind of think it does.
I'm fine with my insecurities now, and I won't tell you what my insecurities are because then you will see them.
And on that note, we'll come to an end. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you in the next episode of Life Happens.